Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Dear students, welcome to the online session. And this is Architect Ishwa Deveria. And I am from Department of Architecture. And this platform is provided to you by University of South Asia. So I would like to say thanks to my university and thanks to all of you to participate in the happy learning from your home. So let's start with the session. Dear students, we have already studied after the midterm exam for the final term exams. We have this lecture number 3, and the subject is thermal comfort. So these are the different topics we have already studied. I've already told you all these topics before this lecture, and these are the different connections that how these topics are interlinked with each other, and how these are related with each other, so that they may go on to support for further for the further topics, so that you may get able to understand what are the different connections for these topics. So the topic for today I have selected, I have already told you about the solar angles and its measurement. We have studied the passive solar architecture, and today we'll be going to study the climate responsive architecture. In climate responsive architecture, we'll be studying the solar shading. So, dear student, what is a solar shading and why is it important as an architect in our field? Let me tell you all these things and what is the solar shading. Let's begin with that. Let me tell you first that what are the aims to study this topic. Number one is to reduce the range of local climatic variation, and number two is to avoid some of the heat of the sun in the hot climates. For example, if we want to have the summer wind, and in the summer we want to have the cool air inside the window, we'll have to avoid the climatic variation, and we'll have to avoid the summer heat, so that the heat may not come inside your building. And in number three, we have to conserve heat in cold climate. Obviously, in the cold climate, we need to comfort our occupant. We need to provide a comfortable zone to our occupants inside the building. So for that, we'll be providing a such type of system that might be conserving the heat inside your house. And then in number four, we have a point to welcome the breeze when they can provide desired cooling to avoid rains when they serve to compound the problem of an already cold environment. So these are the different aims we are going to hit for this subject, for this topic in our subject of the thermal comfort, and these are the main important thing as an architect you need to hit for a building design. So let's begin with this. And then we have the learning objective. Learning objective number one is to promote the natural sources to overcome the environmental heat issues. Number two is the energy use and negative environment effect of building. Number three is to maximize the use of renewable and natural resources in the building environment. In number four, we have the building construction with optimum use of solar energy. In number five, we have the thermal comfort for the inhabitants. And number six is to reduce the maintenance cost. So, dear students, as an architect, what we have to do, we need to conserve the natural resources, we need to overcome the environmental heat issues, we have to have the negative environmental effect of our building, so that the environmental effects on the building might not get able to overcome all of the environment in the surrounding. And then the renewable and natural resources should be maximizingly used inside the building, so that to avoid the energy consumption in our environment. So let's begin with the topic that is a solar shading. There are many different reasons architects want to control the amount of sunlight that is admitted into a building. Number one is in warm sunny climates, excess solar gain may result in high cooling energy consumption. As all of you know, that the sun rises from the east and it sets on the west, and the angle of the sun is on the south side. So in the warm, sunny climates, excess solar gain may result in high cooling energy consumption. That is very understood that even in the warm sunny climates, the solar gain should not be that much. The solar gain should be minimized. That might be giving you the cooling effect inside the building. So for that, we'll be using the solar shading strategy that will be giving the positive environmental impact on our building. Then in cold and temperate climates, in the cold and temperate climate where we have the negative temperature and the temperate mean we have the humidity climatic zone, a winter sun entering south facing windows can positively contribute to passive solar heating. Obviously, in the winter, we need to have the solar gain, we need to have the solar heating for our building. So that will be giving us a positive contribute to passive solar heating. And in nearly all climates, controlling and diffusing natural illumination will improve the day lighting. Obviously, we need for the building environment the air, the water, and most important thing is light. And for the lights, the solar shading obviously is an important thing, but there must be some of the areas where we need to have the light. So for that, we need to have the illumination that will improve our daylighting and that will improve our living style inside the building. Yes, students, we have the different functions of the shading devices. Solar radiation entering a room can have three effects. Radiation absorbed onto room surfaces will lead to an increase in air temperature. That is understood when the radiation is absorbed on the room, on the wall of the window, that's on the wall of our building material, that will obviously increase the inside temperature of our room. We can take an example of a room which is directly hit by the sunlight. For example, if that is directly hit by the sunlight in the evening hour, the sun will ultimately letting the environment of that room look hotter one. That makes the sense that the material of the building, which were absorbing the light throughout the day, they will make the internal environment, the internal air or the temperature of that room in the hotter one. Then we have the solar radiation falling directly onto an equipment will lead to an increase in the mean radiant temperature experienced. Obviously, if the air temperature of that room is increased, that is understood we'll be having the extra mean radiant temperature experienced by the occupants. Then high intensities of radiations from direct sun or even the diffuse sky can cause discomfort, glare, or disability. Glare where an occupant's visual performance will actually be impaired. So, dear student, the function of shading is to eliminate these three effects. As an architect, what we have to do, we have to minimize the energy resources inside the building. We have to minimize the solar heating for the Pakistan inside the house, minimize so that we may not get able to use the maximum active sources like HVAC system, like air conditioning, like the fans. So that will be obviously minimizing the usage of the energy inside the building. So this is a chart. You can see this is the winter. The orange one is winter, and this blue one is for the summers. In the summers, we need to have the cooling environment inside the building. In the winter, we need to have the heating inside the building. And this chart vertically is for the earth. This chart is for the atmosphere. This chart is for the sun or sky. And this one is for the atmosphere. And this is for the conduction, convection, radiation, evaporation. You can link all these points one by one, and I'll be explaining you all these things. For the winter, we need to have the minimized conduction heat flow for the earth so that the heat not may be traveling from one surface to another, and that will be ultimately developing a cooling environment inside your room. And then we have the convection that should be minimize external airflow. Obviously, in the winter, inside temperature in the winter is a colder one when we give some heat through the heater or through any type of the heating material inside the room. We need to have the minimize external airflow and the minimize infiltration so that the outer air may not come inside the room and may not be affecting the internal cooling of that room. Then we have the radiation. Obviously, in the winter season, we need to absorb the solar radiation. We need to promote the solar gain inside the room. Then we have in the summer. In the summer, obviously, we need to minimize the earth is basically related to the conduction, and conduction should not be supportive for the winter or even in the summer season. So we can easily judge it through this one that in the summer and even in the winter you can see the minimized conductive heat flow and the minimized heat conductive heat flow is supportive for conduction point. Then we have to have promote earth cooling. Obviously, in the summer, it's an example. If somebody move on the terrace in the evening hours in the summer, they actually put up some of the water on the floor so that the floor may get able to cool down its heating. That will be supporting your environment to get cooled down more and providing you a healthy environment on the terraces or on the rooftop. Then in the atmosphere, obviously in summer and in the winter, the same condition we have. We don't want the external air to come inside the room in case of the HVAC. For example, in the winter, if we are heating our room and in the summer we are cooling our room, we don't want the external interference or the internal or the external infiltration to come in inside your room. And in the winters, I already told you in the winter we need to have the absorption of the radiation. And in the summer, we don't want the extra radiation coming inside our room or inside our building. And in the summer season, for the evaporation, obviously we promote the evaporation so that evaporation is a cooling process. When the evaporation happens somewhere, it will be cooling down that space ultimately. Then we have the carbon tire. It's an example. If it's a building, it's a tire one, and inside the building, we need to have the heat retention, the heat reduction, or the heat avoidance. And then for the building support, we have the passive system, we have the mechanical system. Students, you do not need to remember all these things. These are just some of the points you need to understand, you need to remember. So that will be helping you out to understand what are the importance of the shading strategies inside your building. So I'll be explaining this picture on the next one. This is shading is a key strategy of achieving thermal comfort in the summer month. The tiered approach to reducing carbon for cooling is the tier 1, is the tier 2, in the tier 3. In the tier 1, we need to have the heat avoidance. In the tier 2, we need to have the passive cooling. And the tier 3 is the mechanical cooling. Heat avoidance can be done through the shading strategies. And you can see the green part is a bigger one. If we avoid the building through the natural resources like shading strategies, this building can avoid the maximum amount of energy only by the shading strategies. And then only the mustard and blue one is just a part of the passive cooling or the mechanical cooling. Otherwise, the tier one is the bigger one that proves if we provide the natural sources for the shading inside our building, that will be promoting our building to get cooled down more, and that will be supporting your building to use the minimized sources of energy inside the summer seasons to get the cooling environment inside your room. Maximize the amount of energy required for mechanical cooling that comes from renewable sources. Dear students, this is one of the reminder for you people that how the sun comes from the east and how it sets on the west side, and the angle of this is the east and this is the west, and how this actually rises from here and the bend is towards the south side and it sets on the west side. So the location of opening for passive solar heating, we need to identify it. We need to identify the design of shading devices for the cooling and means differentiated facade design. We'll be updating ourselves by these 3 points. So two methods of preventing overheating is number one, we can avoid the overheating inside the building. We can avoid the penetration of the heat inside the building by prevent the sun from hitting the glass, done using roof overhang, special shading devices or the vegetation, or use specialized glazing spectrally selective that filters the harmful rays put off the sunlight striking the glass. Dear students, we can use a shading devices or we can use spectrally selective glass that will be helping us out so that the heat may not get enter inside the building, and that will be providing you a positive environment inside your environment or inside the room where the occupants are sitting. Control of the solar radiation through the shading. As I have already told you, we have two methods. One is for the shading and one is for the glazing. So I'll be telling you both of the ways and we'll be explaining all these factors individually. So let's start with the solar shading. It's about in order to control sun penetration to the interior of the building, it is important to provide exterior shading as a part of the architectural envelope design. Such shading devices can be attached to building or can be achieved by the articulation and disposition of the building floors to create the overhang. Dear students, if we want inside this room the reflected radiation, we can add such type of floors over here that might be reflecting our radiation and will be adding some heat inside your room. And if we want to have the maximum reflected radiation inside our building, we can add another material or another source of the reflection over here that might be giving our environment to heat up more accurately and to absorb the heat in the summer hours or in the peak hours on the daytime, and that will be using in the early late hours or early late night hours when we will be needing in the winters to use that heat in the winter hour. That will be giving you a positive environment inside your room. And then we have the direct radiation. So the writer or the picture is actually showing about that what are the different factors which can be faced by the radiation if we have the direct radiation, either we have the reflected radiation. So there is another example. Exterior shading is greatly preferred over interior shading as it is important to keep the solar radiation or the heat from entering the building. Dear students, we have two type of the shading devices. One is such type of thing which is called as external, and one is the internal one. Internal one is like the curtains and like anything else could be over here, and external one is the overhang. So the writer is saying the exterior shading is greatly preferred over interior shading as it is important to keep the solar radiation from entering the building. Traditional interior blinds or drapes merely block the glare of the sun but still allow the heat to enter the interior space. So you can see over here if we have the building like this and we have the shading strategy for the external side on the south side, the overhang is provided over here for the external shade and the sunlight is not getting able to enter inside the room, and that can be provide you 100% result to avoid the heat. On the other hand, if we use the curtains for the windows and for that room, obviously you can see the heat is getting enter inside the room, and that is very much obvious. Once the heat is in, it is in. We cannot avoid the heat to go outside if we provide such type of a curtain. So sunlight enters the space and heat the building between curtains and windows. And the third point, we have the double glazed window, and for the double glazed window, heater air built in the windows itself and it is exhausted to exterior. That is very much obvious. We can go for this option or we can go for this one option. We cannot use a positive impact on the curtain part of the wall that will be giving you some of the negative points inside the building. These are the functions of the glazing. Dear students, glazing is done on the glass, and for the glass we have the different opportunities like glass can transmit the glass is basically the glazing. Glass can actually transmit the solar radiation, glass can actually reflect it, or either the glass can absorb the heat inside. So these are the different points. If we are hitting the solar radiation through the glass on some of the oblique angle, the transmission or absorption rate of that glass will be less. And larger the solar radiation, lesser the absorption of the solar radiation inside the room. And the minimum the solar radiation, if the solar radiation is falling on this on the 90 angle, the maximum the transmittance will be done, so that it is clear if we have the solar radiation and one is a transmission, so solar radiation angle is indirectly proportional to the transmittance, absorbance, and the reflection of that reflection of the heat. The transmittance of the solar radiation through glazing is a function of the angle of incident, which is always measured from the normal to the surfaces. You can see over here, if we have a clear glass, in one we have the heat absorbing glass, and in the third we have the reflected glass, you can see the clear glass can transmit 87% of the heat, and in the heat absorbing glass we can have the 43% transmittance, and in the reflective glass we can have the 30% transmittance. So which one is better? That is very much understood. The sun is minimum reflected inside the room, so we'll be going as an architect for the reflected glass. Obviously, reflection or the transmission means the entrance of the or the absorption of the rays inside the room. As an architect, I'll prefer the reflected glass where the reflection is maximum. It is 34%. Over here, we just have the 8% and 8%, where we have the maximum reflection of the sun rays. Obviously, that will be the positive impact on an environment. And as an architect, we need to provide a reflective glass inside our building if we are not going to use any type of the shading strategies. So these were the two things. One was for the shading strategy and one was for the glass. These are the different images using inside the building, how the buildings are actually operated by using only the reflected glass and avoiding the heat from the outside to coming inside. And this is the shading coefficient, and one is a shading, this is the shading coefficient, and this is the shading heat gain coefficient. You can see all these values of these glass. These are just for the information for you students. You don't need to remember all these points. Dear students, we have the atmosphere in our surrounding, and in the surrounding when the rays are coming, some of the rays are hitting your windows directly, and some of the rays are hitting your floors, and some of the windows or the floors are hit by the sun rays on the oblique or on the 90 angle. And sometimes we have the clear sky, sometimes we have the cloudy sky, sometimes the gloomy one, and sometimes we have such type of environment. So atmosphere is also one of the major thing, what type of weather and what type of environment or temperature in that area, and on a specific time or on the specific climatic condition, that will be providing you some of the opportunities to provide any type of the shading or the glass quality which will be used for your building design. That is one of the important factor while designing or while deciding such type of things for your design. I have already told you the function of the atmosphere. Atmosphere is also one of the major source for the reflection and for the direct radiation or for the reflected radiation. And the function of the atmosphere is also can be depicted by a simple roof overhang, act as a shading devices. So let's begin with these things. What are these things and how the shading strategies are very important for your design? Let's see that. and which orientation get how much. A horizontal window, for example, if we have a horizontal window or as a skylight, to see 4 to 5 times more solar radiation than south window on June 21. As all of you know that on June 21 we have the maximum sun rays inside the building, and the maximum solar radiation will be absorbed by the windows and by the building material. So for that we need to have some of the criteria. The writer is saying over here in the book that if we provide a horizontal window on our roof, that will be equal to providing the window on June 21. So this is the maximum horizontal. This is the maximum heat gain provided by the horizontal roof window if we provide it on our rooftop. Then we have the east and west glazing collects amount almost 3 times the solar radiation of the south window. On the east and on the west side, obviously we have the 90-degree angles. So for that thing, obviously the building will be affected by the 90-degree transmittance and 90-degree absorption. I have already told you on this slide, if we have the direct direct rays hitting any glass, the direct rays lesser the angle, obviously this is the larger angle in the 90, the lesser the angle and the maximum the solar absorption of the windows inside the room, that will be giving you the more negative impact on the windows on the south or sorry on the east or on the west side. Then we have the shading geometry. Shading geometry, dear students, it could be or overhang, it could be the horizontal lower, and it could be on the miniature lower. These are one of the some of the examples. These are very much used in the institutional building. Like the actual size are this, and you can control it through the thread, and it is in your L1 Department of Architecture, where the windows have been covered by the miniature lower screen. So overhang and horizontal louvers I'll be explaining you in your next slide. Dear students, we have the four basic shading types. One is a horizontal shade. This is a horizontal shade. This is on these are the elevations of your room. If this is your floor and this is your ceiling and this is your window, so this is the overhang and sunlight is coming over here. This is a horizontal shade, a very simple one. Horizontal shade could be called as or called as the overhang. So this is the overhang. Then we have the vertical shade. If we do not provide any type of the overhang over here, or we just provide a vertical shade in front of our window like this is called as the vertical shade shading strategy. Then we have the reflected glass. You can see easily over here, this was a simple glass and this is the reflected glass. So this is also one of the basic shading type. Then we have the internal shade. It could be the curtain or it could be any other material or partition wall or the cavity wall inside your building. So internal shade, reflective shade, or the vertical shade and the horizontal shade, these are some of the examples for the basic shading strategies. Then obviously as an architect we have been seeing all these things in our past, and shading devices are basically not new one. These are some of the examples from your history. You have been seeing all these buildings in your surrounding. This was the building by the Le Corbusier, and the brief Soloil to shade the facade of the Unite and Habitation Northern Hemisphere. And this is also one of the examples from the Rio de Janeiro, the Ministry of the Education, and this is one of the example in that too. So we have been seeing all these things in our Wapda house, in the Punjab Assembly, in many of the buildings in our surrounding too, but we do not know what we can call them. So we have the basic shading types. Like one is dear student, this is the elevation, the front elevation, this is the side elevation, and this is the plan of this basic shading type. We'll be calling it a curtain wall. The curtain wall, in the curtain wall, we do not have any type of the shading strategy. We just have an extra facade on front of our building. It could be anything, it could be the glass, it could be the wood, or it could be anything. So you can see easily on the plan, there is nothing over here which will be providing you the basic shading strategy, just a curtain wall with the front extra material that will be avoiding your extra heat to come inside your building. Then we have the horizontal devices. In the horizontal devices, if I tell you on the plan, this is one of the lure and this is another one lure. Lure 1 is a solid one and the lure 2 is in the plan. We have the horizontal slits. You can see easily over here. So this is the elevation. In elevation, where dear students, actually this is the sandwich of two of the lures. One is a solid. It might be the possibility on this room we might not be needing any type of the light or any type of the heat, and over here where we have the horizontal lures, we might be using some percentage of the heat to come inside the room and some of the illumination to come inside the room. That will be providing you the some of the heat coming inside the room. Then we have the vertical fin. In the vertical fin, this is the front wall and the vertical fin will be like this on the side elevation. And this is plan of this vertical fin. You can see that these will be the vertical fins. Then we have the vertical movables. In the vertical movable, we have the vertical fin, but these fins are actually movable on the 360 wherever you want to rotate it, wherever you want to have it according to the requirements on the conditions or on the demands of the clients, according to the climatic changes, according to the weather condition. Then we have the fixed aggregate accurate. For the fixed accurate, we have the front wall like this, and on the side elevation, we have such type of the condition. These are some of the gaps inside your panels, inside your lures, and this is the plan of your fixed accurate. Then we have the movable accurate. In the movable accurate, these will be rotating in the elevation. In this one, the vertical movable, in the vertical movable we were rotating the vertical parts or the vertical panels, and in the movable accurate we are actually rotating it on the x-axis side on the elevation. You can see it over here on the plan. These are the fixed one, and on the elevation you can rotate it through the 360 according to the weather condition and according to the requirement of the client. Yes, students, this is all about today's lecture. I'll be explaining you about all these things in the next presentation. I have done all these things, but I'll be explaining you in the next week. That will be easy for you to understand. So the lecture on the shading strategies is to be continued till the next week. I hope you will be understanding all these things very clearly, and inshallah I'll be updating an assignment on this topic on your Google Classroom. So let's conclude this presentation by the end. A well-designed sun controlled and shading devices can dramatically reduce building peak heat gain and cooling requirements and improve the natural lighting quality of the building interiors. Number two is depending on the amount and location of the fenestration, reduction in the annual cooling energy consumption of 5% to 15% have been reported. Sun control and shading devices can also improve user visual comfort by controlling glare and reducing contrast ratios. This often leads to increased satisfaction and productivity. And in the last, we have the shading devices offer the opportunity of differentiating one building facade from another. This can provide interest and human scale to an otherwise undistinguished design. So these are all the concluding points by this presentation, and I'll be continuing this topic in the next week for your further lecture, for your explanation about this lecture. So if you people have any type of the question or any query regarding this shading strategies and regarding this glass shading strategy, you can ask me or comment me down on the Google Classroom. With this, I would like to say you thank you so much, students, for listening me. And I hope you all are sitting in your rooms and enjoying your quarantine and making yourself maximum safe. And I hope we'll be meeting soon, inshallah. With this, I would like to say thanks to all of you. Thank you so much, everybody, and Allah Hafiz.